Hello, folks. Lord Xenon here with Violet Willow. We're going to run what I consider to be the first truly challenging dungeon in this game, the Sunken Temple of Qarn. There are a couple new abilities to speak of in here. One that I've had for a while, I just have not mentioned yet, is Swift Cast, which is a roll ability that basically, when you use it, causes your next spell to be cast instantly. I generally use it to quickly do a summon if I need to, or if I need to instantly resurrect a party member. Other than that, it usually just sits there. Though I probably could, well, I definitely could use it more often for other spells. Really, the two spells that have the longest cast time that you really need to worry about it, or that you really need to use it for, are your summons and your resurrection. Okay, so the Sunken Temple of Qarn. The first thing to note is directly in front of everybody. I'm sorry, well, actually behind. If you look basically straight in the middle of the screen from where I'm standing now, there's actually a mural, which gives you a solution for a puzzle later on in the dungeon. Experienced groups are not actually going to look at the mural because it's the same solution every time. It shows a scale with a flame on the left and a fruit on the right. Now, as we progress through the next several rooms, there are going to be 4 stone tablets to pick up. The only ones you actually need to pick up are, well, the flame and the fruit, which you're going to need to solve the final puzzle. But you can pick up 4 stone tablets in total, and they will actually open 4 different doors later in the dungeon that are completely optional. These first few pulls are very basic, nothing you haven't seen before, deceptively easy, one might say. But things are about to get a little more interesting. I'll go ahead and pick it up, even though it's not absolutely necessary. Alright. Now, the most important thing in these next few pulls is to kill the bees first. The bees have a move called Final Sting that will deal massive amounts of damage, as in almost enough to completely kill your tank in one shot. So the bees need to be killed before they use that ability. Now, I did mention I had another ability new to this dungeon, and that is Fester. Fester is a spell that uses one of your Ether Flow stacks, and it does an amount of damage proportional to the number of dots you have on your target. If you don't have Bio or Miasma on your target, Fester does nothing. Fester does half of its potential damage if you have one of the 2 dots available, and it will do its full damage if you have both dots active. So I'm going to feign to hit the Qarn Facer, and then I'm going to Fester the bee to take it down quickly. These Qarn Facers will drop a treasure chest if we kill it, but after a while it will try to run away. but it looks like we're going to get it before it runs. So it drops a treasure chest. If you miss it here, it'll pop up at later parts of the dungeon, and you can try to kill it again later on. But now that we've dealt with it, we don't have to worry about it for the remainder of the dungeon. Alright. Again, there's a bee here, so kill the bee first. And now we can worry about the other two enemies. So far, so good. However, we are now at the first boss, and this is the boss that separates the men from the boys, as they say. Or the girls from the ladies. This is Pterodator, and he has some moves that will kill you if you don't know how to deal with them. So we're going to deal with them as they come here. Alright. Starts off very basic. Drop your dots. Use Fester as you have the opportunity. Because now, Fester is going to be one of the biggest sources of damage you have. Now, throughout this arena, you will see these 3 square platforms. And throughout the fight, you will see... Oh, first mechanic to worry about. These Wests, or you might want to call them Wasps, because that's what they are. They use Final Sting, so you want to kill them quickly. Now, as I was saying about the 3 panels, eventually you'll see one panel at a time start to glow. You need to keep an eye on the glowing panel, because it's going to save your life. Eventually, here we go, he begins to growl. Now he's going to inflict everybody with doom. This puts a timer on. If that timer runs out, you die. To get rid of doom, you need to stand on a glowing panel. This glowing panel will change. It may change right as you're about to step on it. So you're doing this while you're... Oh, see, it changed before I got onto it, so I need to move on to another panel. And the machinist didn't get to the panel in time, so the machinist died. I got to that panel right away. So, yeah, the key is to just keep an eye on that, on the glowing platform. Uh-oh. Alright, this time, this just got out of control, to be honest. But what I'm going to try to do is kite this thing around the room. As I said, this is a hard boss. No, that didn't work. We're not out of this yet. I think the tank can take it down. If they manage to get... Well, no, because Final Sting's going to kill the tank. I don't think this is going to happen. It was a valiant effort. But I will go ahead and take off to the beginning. There's no way he's going to get to res me. Alright. As I said, this is a challenging boss, and it's not uncommon to wipe to that boss in your first attempt. Another attempt at this. Now that we all remember how this boss goes, it should be a lot easier this time. Again, it is not uncommon to wipe your first time on this boss, even if you know what you're doing. It's very unforgiving. Done west. Need to take those out. The challenge, of course, and you know, you saw this on that first attempt, is when you have to worry about the panels and the wasps at the same time. Alright, more array. Watch for the panel. There's the panel. Say, why didn't it take off the first time? I don't know, but you always need to keep an eye on that. Oh crap. Alright, da-da-da. Until the boss is picked up by the... Okay, so the tank's got the boss back. Okay, the wasps are on me. So far, so good. We've had some mess ups here, but we're recovering. I think we're gonna get it this time. We got this now. And yes, I did make the mistake of triggering a thing in too early. In that case, I didn't worry about it too much. I just wanted to get some dots on those bees. Alright. We are through. If you can get through that boss, the rest of this dungeon is a breeze. I mean, yes, there are still some challenging mechanics in the later fights, but nothing nearly as challenging as that boss. That boss is, I call it really the gateway to the later game. Because, of course, later bosses are going to have more challenging mechanics than that, but this is the first time as players that you generally encounter some of these more challenging boss mechanics. We got him before that attack went off. Okay, so now these heads, I'm not even going to try to pronounce the name of it. They need to die in specific locations. Specifically, there's glowing pads similar to the glowing pads from that first boss fight. That stone head ad needs to die on the switch, and it will open the gate. Now there are two such enemies. Alright, that's one. Now the tank is going to pull the second over to the second switch. I'm going to not try to attack it too early. I'm definitely not applying any dots until he's on the switch. Alright, now that opens two doors. These doors we need to go in and pick up the stone tablets inside of them. These are the flame and the fruit, the two that I said that we need when we get to the end of the dungeon. Oh, this guy's going to try to pull both sets of ads. Okay. Most tanks will only take one room of ads at a time, but this one is trying to take the whole lot, which will probably end up working out. Alright, I'm going to bane everything, of course, and apply Radiant Shield. Machinist is there, so Machinist is going to have a nice little AoE attack as well to worry about. I'm going to reapply my dots by way of Bane. And then, while this is going on, they picked up the flame. I'm going to come over here and pick up the fruit. Ah, see, I got too far away from Ifrit, so I'm going to need to resummon him. Alright, now I will move on to the next part of the dungeon. It is here, if you didn't kill the Qarn Facer in that first room with the bees. It's here that it will appear again. You'll have another shot to kill it. There will be several rooms where you have the opportunity to kill it, and it will drop a chest once you do. We happen to get it in the first room, so we won't see it ever again. Now, I don't recall there being any more bees for the remainder of this dungeon, so that's a plus. Okay, down in this hallway, there's a bunch of ads, and some of these can be avoided if you use good timing. Though I would wager the tank's probably going to pick up everything. Alright, I'll rebait everything because he pulled that last one over. Use Radiant Shield, and hopefully my ether flow will be back up by the time I'm through taking care of these ads, because as you can see down the bottom of the hill is the second boss. Now the second boss is a boss where it's not very common that this happens, but on very rare occasions you will find a boss that at certain times in the fight will completely ignore the threat table. So the tank can do anything he wants to try to hold hate. The boss is going to attack whoever he pleases. And there are several sections in this fight where that happens. And to be fair, a lot of later boss fights will have mechanics that will target people other than the tank. But this boss has an entire section where he really completely ignores the tank. Well, it's good to see our players are having fun. And they're flirting with each other. How adorable. Okay, so this boss has two parts, the Guardian and the Soul Stone. The Guardian is what you actually need to kill, but he's not going to take much damage unless you kill the Soul Stone first. What I like to do is whittle, when playing as a summoner anyway, is whittle the Soul Stone down. When he's getting low, reapply your dots, and then bane it. So that now, when you destroy the Soul Stone, you've already applied your dots. Now, he won't be attacking while the Soul Stone is down. You'll have the perfect opportunity to just absolutely wail on the guy. But eventually the Soul Stone will regenerate, in which case you need to target it again. It's at this point where he's going to really not pay much attention to the tank, and he's going to attack whoever he pleases. So you need to be ready to dodge stuff. He'll just run up to a random person and smack them, whether they're the tank or not. He'll do nice room-wide AoEs. So be ready to dodge. If you're a healer, be ready to heal. If you're a summoner, be ready to resurrect somebody who takes a lot of damage at once. Okay, I did not think to bane that time. I should have. That's alright. Now I have plenty of ammo to fester with. Alright, don't think we're going to kill him on this run. Yeah, there's the Soul Stone again. But I'm gonna wager that the next time we destroy the Soul Stone, we'll have enough DPS output to kill the Guardian on that third run. Again, he's just going to start running around smacking random people. The best you can do at this point is pray it isn't you. Getting close. Oh, he's gonna smack me. Oh no, he didn't smack me. Alright, I am going to bane and I'm going to fester. Alright, let's kill him. We should be able to get him down now. And there you go. Again, you're seeing some more challenging bosses in this dungeon. As I said, this is really kind of the gateway to later game. Ooh, I can use those. In fact, I'm going to use those. Alright. My guess is the tank is going to try to pick up everybody here. Good. Got 4 seconds left on ether flow. So now I will bane everything. Now again, bane is really your only AoE option at this point. Later in the game, especially post level 50, you're going to get all sorts of fun AoE attacks. Alright, that is that. I believe if you still haven't killed the Qarn Facer by now, it shows up here. And if you haven't killed the Qarn Facer by now, you will kill it in this room, because at this point it's probably such low health that only 1 or 2 smacks are going to take it down. But at this point we've only got a couple more rooms to go in this dungeon. Alright, there is your rock and switch mechanic like we saw earlier. I'm going to start worrying about the croc. Okay, good. That opens the door at the top of those stairs. Now, there are 2 doors over here on these 2 sides here, and 2 more up on the second landing that can be opened with those 4 stone tablets that you would have picked up earlier. They contain some item boxes that may or may not have useful items in them. Most players anymore really don't worry about those 4 doors. Alright, just like before, I'm worrying about the croc, but I did manage to bane onto the stone head, because he's on the switch. And that opens that door right there. Okay. Okay. Oh, I guess somebody's going back for the doors. Or not. Okay, we're back. Alright, so there's just a couple more poles here. If the tank's feeling particularly adventurous, he'll make it one pull. Doesn't look like he's gonna do it, and I'm kind of glad he's not. That's a lot of enemies to worry about. Alright. Now, once we take care of these, that stone tablet you see up there is actually the final puzzle of the dungeon. And as I said at the beginning, the solution is given in the very, very first room of the dungeon. You need to put the flames on the left and the fruit on the right. In fact, I'm going to do exactly that. Once you've done that, you tip the scale. If you do it right, it opens both doors. And before we do the boss, I'll go ahead and skip the boss cutscene. And go ahead and grab these 3 chests. Those black and snitty gloves and the cracked book and all that, those are actually materials for crafted items. But if you don't intend to craft them, you probably just pass on them. Alright, this boss, while certainly no more difficult than the first boss, I think is a little more complicated. There are a lot of phases to this fight, and you just have to know what to do and when. Alright, so, you start off like you start off any boss. Apply your dots, keep throwing on festers, refresh ether flow as you need to, refresh your dots as you need to. Now, you'll notice the glowing switches, very similar to the ones you've seen before. And a Sunjuror ad. Now, these Sunjuror ads need to be killed on the switches. And for the first phase of the fight, that is a mechanic you need to worry about. Kill the Sunjuror on the switch, otherwise it'll just come back to life. Okay, we passed that phase. Now the Mithril Verges start to appear. These are ads that are going to start shooting line AoEs around. You can just try to dodge the AoEs, or you can kill the Verges quickly keep them from becoming an issue later on. Now eventually, Verges are going to appear and there's going to be a black box, basically, that appears underneath them. These are going to basically do a pulse AoE that attacks the entire party unless they're killed quickly. The catch is, a few seconds after they appear, the black square is going to close off and nobody can get inside unless you're already standing on the black square. So, stand on the black square, then kill the Verge quickly. The square will disappear once the Verge is dead. It starts out just having one. Later in the fight, you'll see 2 squares. Alright, now we're back to the line AoE Verges. Now they're going to show up in large quantities and they're just going to keep pulsing at you. Oh, paralyzed me. And the healer was quick enough to take care of that. This is good. Alright, we're almost done. Alright, now there are the 2 squares. I intentionally saved a Fester so I can get that down quickly. Yes! Ooh, that one of them got off, but fortunately, because I killed the other, it did not actually kill any of us. And that is the Sunken Temple of Qarn. Again, as you can see, a somewhat more challenging dungeon than we've seen so far. And definitely one that's going to hone your skills. But once you start, once you learn this dungeon, you're going to be well prepared to take on some of the tougher dungeons later on. Alright, this is going to be probably the last video for a while. I have Gen Con begins tomorrow. Well, I pick up the tickets tomorrow, and I'm running a Starfinder game with my gaming group. And after, pretty much right after Gen Con, well, I may have like one day. I may have one day that I might do some recording after that. But then after that, the next patch comes out, which includes the next stage of Eureka, and I'm probably going to be playing a lot of Eureka to upgrade my relic weapons on my main. And only about a month after that, the patch 4.4 is scheduled to come out. So since this is really a project I'm doing between patches, I may be playing my main for a while, so maybe a while before I come back to this, but I do intend to come back to this and to finish off the rest of the dungeons. So I hope you enjoy what you've seen so far, and I hope you're looking forward to seeing more in the future. And until then, have a wonderful day.